It's commodities time now. We have for the second time this week Bolanle Agbaje joining us. Hi, Bolanle.
Hi,
good morning. Good
morning.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
Even though the oil prices aren't looking so good,
Yes.
we are seeing the fear of recession, interest rates hike, beating it down. I think it had a little bit of recovery, I think, yesterday.
Yes, because we had seen increased production from Iraq, but at the same time, there was also hopes that the deal between the US and Iran would actually bring out something positive. But so far, we had seen, inflation rates in the Eurozone increase to about 9.1%, which was more than what analysts expected. I think they expected about 8.9 to about 9%. And this is much worse. And it's the fact that, many central banks are still hammering on the fact that, a recession is imminent. It's just how deep and how long this recession would last. So they're expecting this, and it's just going to bite hard for many consumers.
And it's not helping. It's not helping in China and those Asian countries because of COVID-19.
Yes,
they're just so determined.
They're determined to make sure, because it started from that area, that region, and
so once bitten, twice shy.
Yes, and they're trying to make sure that this doesn't actually have any significant, or long-lasting impact on the economy. So they're making sure that the fact that they're engaging, they're facing some challenges at the moment. They're expecting that in the long run this would actually reduce or not necessarily affect the economy in the long run.
How long do we expect this? I mean, the war is still going on.
Yes.
Energy prices are still hiked. So we don't see reprieve anywhere, do we?
Well, you do know that the war was what made, what made the impact worse on many economies. And we don't know when this war would end or what would happen in the future.
Can we beg Putin?
I'm sure you have some economies that have actually done that. Turkey, for one, because I think they're on the good side of Putin. But at the same time, we do expect that in December, all of these sanctions would come to the full surface. And we don't know actually what would happen to major economies when that happens. I don't think Putin looks like he's ready to back down. It'll be interesting to see what happens next year, or how long this actually drags on for.
Yeah, and that reminds me, because during we have a special program, Russia Invasion, that looks at that. So we took a deep look into the Russian economy, and we see that they're kind of adjusting. So for instance, Gazprom, their major gas seller and all of that, they just declared profits, of high amounts. And then we see that they're adjusting by looking inwards. So their PMI is up.
Yes, so, they were the ones that started the war. So I'm definitely sure.
So they put some things in place.
Yes, because they obviously, looked at the worst case scenario of what would happen, how major economies, because, a war in this day and age is kind of unheard of. Many economies are wondering why you were having a war that, we actually faced in the past, God knows how many years before now. So I'm sure they already had solutions in place for, what the repercussion of this would happen.
All right, so if we'll have that first slide again on the screen, I really appreciate that, where we're seeing the talk of Niger Delta. There you have it, Banana. You can look at it.
Yes, I can see.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, we had a $1 billion plan
clean up.
to clean up
drags on. Bloomberg released such an interesting report on this. The fact that, this oil spill had dragged on. It happened 12 years ago, and we're still talking about the cleanup up until now.
Yeah, I remember when we had an elaborate ceremony. We had it live on Channels Television that there's going to be a Ogoni cleanup, and that's how many years ago?
Yeah, 12 years ago. And at that time, the UN actually predicted that the cleanup is only going to last for about 30 years or more. And it's just been 12 years. And at the same time, you have communities actually complaining about the fact that Shell has not really done so much in terms of cleanup. The fact that this Ogoni land was very ripe with different agricultural produce. You have palm oil. You have the fact that they focused on other agricultural produce to actually promote their land, and this oil spill actually turned it into what we're seeing today. Yes, exactly.
Because I know when you watch some documentaries of fishermen,
it's terrible. Fishery was one of the major. Yes, it's actually a terrible situation, and it's definitely going to take. Well, we're seeing $1 billion now, and I'm definitely sure it's actually going to increase much more than this, just because they've delayed the cleanup so far.
And it's costing a whole lot. It just brings back that question of, is oil a blessing or a curse to the country? Because, I mean, look at the number of things you have mentioned now, the fish, the palm oil. I mean,
These are other, substitutes that we had actually, mentioned several times for Nigeria to look inwards to. But a land that has been ripe in the past of producing some of these agricultural products, we're not actually doing so much. Shell has not, they keep mentioning the fact that it wasn't their fault. It was more or less the vandalism that created that oil spill that damaged the land. And they've pulled out now. So, and the fact that, a lot of countries are now talking about, moving away from oil, nobody is actually focusing on, the repercussion of what...
Of the oil.
Yes, exactly. And, these communities, I don't think they have, when you talk about, the percentage of the community versus the other population in Nigeria, I don't think they have as much power, in trying to get what they want.
And we're still talking about the vandalism that we say
yes, and we're still talking about vandalism in other parts of Nigeria as well. And the fact that, it dates back to Kentarawiwa, and we're still discussing this now. It's a terrible situation for Nigeria.
I wonder, have you heard anything about the Seplat deal?
Not yet, but
yeah,
we'll definitely
it's kind of quiet from that side now. We don't know, what has happened. Okay, so we see that we have the Russia there. We know that they've turned off their gas
pipeline, and
Saturday.
that's going to definitely increase the price of gas even much more than we discussed.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't know how long it's going to be off for maintenance, but
is that 3 days? So we hope it will be back on.
We hope, yeah.
Because even this maintenance seems to be
more often than not, you don't have a situation where the maintenance actually, lasts for the days that they specify. Most times after the 3 days, they would actually ask for, an extension. We do hope it's 3 days, but at this point, natural gas is about $9 million, $9 per MMBTU, and we expect that to even increase higher. And obviously, bite hard when it comes to European inflation.
And then we see that the price of cocoa is coming back up.
Yes,
is the fertilizer issue over?
Yes, so we have a situation where we have substandard pesticides in Ghana, and the fact that the pesticides that actually promote good crop or high quality crops are quite scarce and expensive. So most of these farmers have actually switched to substandard, and that would definitely affect their output, even though the output maybe remains the same, but the quality of the output is in question. But when you look at the good side of it, Nigeria is obviously we're one of the major producers as well, and it benefits us that the price is actually at about 2,000.
But we're not producing at the maximum.
No, well, we're looking forward to the harvest season and trying to see what comes out of Ondo and major, high producing states.
Okay, all right. But still about cocoa, we see there are concerns about next year's West Africa cocoa crop quality.
Yes, it boils down to this same pesticide issue and the fact that everything has become expensive. There's no new technological advancement in that space, but I'm sure Ghana and Ivory Coast would definitely, look forward to see what they can do to actually improve the living standards of the farmers, improve the quality of products they actually produce, because they're heavily dependent on this particular produce. Nigeria, well, we do hope. I don't know what Nigeria is doing at the moment. Our production is more or less stuck at about 280,000 metric tons, but it'll be nice to see what happens in the next few months or after the harvest season to see what they do in terms of planting.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. Bolanle, thank you so much. As usual, Bolanle Agbaje, analyst with Financial Derivatives. Thank you for bringing us up to date with commodity space.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.